here, the bad boys are wrestling. Testing competition, win the war, that's their mission. Not no mercy, see the rings like the street. If you don't know, you better find out the wolf pack. Here to prove a point, number one, best believe that you don't wanna tussle with them or be avoided them. Come in the ring with them, you're never walking out again. Don't turn your back on the wolf pack. 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 You might wind up in a body bag. You took your chances, now it's time to show you we're wrong. In the ring, this is war, all you suckers not strong. Day in, day out, the wolf pack for life.
Man, that sucked, right? Let's forget about it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Week 8 of the 2024 NFL season. No, I did not get my act together and get this episode up with many days to spare. It's Thursday, and the Vikings play on Thursday night. That intro song was the walk-up music for the NWO Wolfpack, which, you know, if you watched wrestling in the 90s, was kind of a big deal. I thought it was fitting because the Wolves tipped off their season on Tuesday night and are probably, I would guess now that the Lynx are out of it, to the Twin Cities odds-on favorite to be the team to bring a championship to the Twin Cities. And this is probably the last video I'll do before Halloween, and it's kind of got a menacing tone to it. And the Vikings are going to LA to play the Rams. And, you know, it kind of has that West Coast feel to it. Also, this last week, ESPN finally released the recreation of this image with the release of this image. And I believe this one came out in 2000. So it's all coming together. Late 90s, LA, Vikings, Halloween. All right. Before I transition with a beer, I thought I should just tip my cap to the Lynx. I am not an NBA or WNBA or basketball of any kind thought leader. In fact, I'm not even sure right now that I could name all 5 positions in basketball, but I'm going to try. Center, power forward, point guard, shooting guard, SF, small forward? Anyway, I don't know much about basketball, so maybe I won't weigh in on how badly the Lynx got jobbed in that final game, but good season, ladies. Well done. Regardless of the outcome, another good year. Okay, it's a school night. Let's get to the beer. And by beer, of course, I mean cider. This week, I am drinking Two Towns Cider House Hollow Jacked Imperial Pumpkin made with heirloom pumpkin and dark muscovado cane sugar. 8% alcohol by volume. Imperial style, fresh pressed Northwest apples, always whole ingredients. Dark and delicious, this year's Hollow Jacked is a sinfully sweet treat. Heirloom pumpkins caramelized with dark muscovado cane sugar creates a deep richness culminating in a fall-spiced finish. Let the flavor and spirit of the great Halloween pumpkin take over. It's frightfully good. Yes, I am drinking pumpkin cider. Congratulations, Lynx. Good luck this season, Wolves. Happy Halloween, and Skål för det. I'll admit, I was a bit nervous about this one, that it was going to be pumpkin-y and weird, but that's delicious. It's apple juice. It's a pumpkin spice apple cider. I can't believe it's 8% alcohol because it's sweet and it's delicious. Yeah, I kind of can't. I can't believe there's alcohol in that. That's astonishing. Found this at the Scandia Old Town Liquor in Scandia, Minnesota. I think they had a few more of them, so if I'm selling you on this, tell them who sent you. It's very good. Put a splash of Fireball in it. Okay, I have to keep this quick because I have to be at work in the morning, and it's pretty hectic these days. Before I jump into this week's game against the Rams, I want to just touch on a few things quick about last week's game and kind of where things stand with the NFC North in general. Had I had the time to put out an episode before the Lions game, I would have talked a lot about how it was a classic showdown in the NFC North, the black and blue division, in a year where the NFC North is a really staunch competition. The Vikings were kind of supposed to be the bottom of the barrel, and then the Lions and the Packers were going to be duking it out. Packers got off to kind of a slow start. The Bears have gotten off to a slow start, but seem to be putting it together, while the Vikings were kind of surprising people. The Lions, I wouldn't say were a disappointment. They were 4-1 coming into the game, but maybe hadn't quite put it all together until they walloped the Cowboys the week before, and then came in and put a really, really good game up against the Vikings. Before last week, and I haven't checked updates, the NFC North was the only team, or the only division, where every team in the division had a positive point differential, meaning they've scored more points than their opponents. And we were the only one, and it was not close. All of them were double-digit positives, I'm pretty sure. I say that to say, looking at the records across all the divisions, the NFC North is a tough division this year, at least so far. And that means that the road to the playoffs is going to be tougher for all the teams, but hopefully more interesting. If you watched last game, you probably noticed that things were really close. It just never felt like either team was really pulling away, and all the stats bear that out. I found this and thought it was really interesting. Obviously, the score was close, but to look at all the stats, it's so seldom that you see this kind of evenness. The yards are within 10 yards, passing yards, rushing yards, yards per play, first downs are within a few, third down efficiency, fourth down efficiency, like right on down the line. That was a super close, balanced matchup. And if the Vikings are going to lose a game, I'm glad that they lost it to a team that's like a Super Bowl favorite, that was picked to go to the playoffs, picked to advance and go to the Super Bowl before the season and has been playing like it. They shellacked the Cowboys, and the Vikings kept it close. Obviously, I would have preferred it if they, got out of a home game against a division opponent with a win, but they didn't embarrass themselves. There were certainly some things they need to work on, but this is cool. This is balanced. And that's a good team to be that balanced with. Okay, enough about the past. This week's game, the Vikings take on the Rams, and the storylines abound. The Rams have had a rough season. They lost Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, their two top wide receivers, early in the season. I want to say like weeks 1 and 2 or 1 and 3, early. And the offense for it has struggled. Matt Stafford is no spring chicken, but he can still deal it. And he's been doing his best to keep the team afloat and staying competitive. Sean McVay obviously was like the first young wonderkind coaching darling. And, leading into storylines, his assistant, Kevin O'Connell, is now our head coach. And I think when Kevin O'Connell left, he also brought like the quarterbacks coach and some other offensive coaching assistant. So they're all on the Vikings team now. Kevin O'Connell has a ton of familiarity with them, and McVay has a lot of familiarity with him. So it'll be an interesting chess match to watch, as both are very offensively minded, talented at scheming up plays, creative and aggressive. And I think it could make for some fun Thursday night fireworks. Because it's only Thursday, I haven't had time to dig into like all the stats and the DVOA and everything, but I think the Vikings can move the ball against the Rams, and with Cooper Kupp returning after being out for however many weeks, I'm concerned that he can kind of do to the Vikings what Amon-Ra St. Brown did against the Vikings last week. And Kyren Williams is one of the few true bell cow running backs in the league. And we just saw what Jahmyr Gibbs did to us. So the Rams could still hurt us a variety of ways, even if they can get a lot of pressure on Matt Stafford. And I think they can. He's not that mobile. He's not very elusive. I'm trying not to call him old, but like by quarterback standards, he is. I think the Vikings can get to him. I hope the defense can scheme something up in a way that makes it matter. This is not a hard-hitting, facts-based show. As you know, it's pretty vibes-based, pretty feel-based. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the wild speculation that the Vikings are trying to trade for Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford to continue this playoff push. I'll only bring it up, but wildly unsubstantiated rumors. But I think it's a fun thought experiment, because Is that necessarily an improvement on what we're doing right now? Is bringing in a quarterback who, well, may be familiar with O'Connell's system, because again, used to be the coach there, the offensive coordinator there, he'd still have to like find chemistry and get everything going and learn the schemes. And I don't know if that's a trade up. It's interesting though, because the Vikings are actually in a really cool spot to go all in right now. Given how much cap space they have next year, we, in theory, have our franchise quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. We've got some really good pieces locked down in Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill. Like, there's some good pieces that are signed, and they have room next year to add more. So I'd be curious if it happens. I'm not exactly rooting for it, because I think it would be tricky at this point of the season to add that, but we'll see what happens. It would also be really weird to play a team and then trade for two of their players. All right, I would love to prattle on, but work in the morning. So, if I don't talk to you all again before Halloween, have a safe and happy Halloween. Skål, feel it there. And go Vikings.